Hello everyone, and welcome to the on-demand demo of Caristix Workgroup software. Today I'm going to show you a brief overview of the basics of Caristix Workgroup. Workgroup is software that helps interface analysts, developers, and testers build interfaces between health information systems. It's not an interface engine. Instead, it helps your team analyze messages, configure your integration engine, and test and maintain interfaces. For the sake of the demo, we'll create a new HL7 interface. Let's start with message analysis. The goal here is to understand the specification of the system sending HL7 messages. This is a critical task because the requirements that are gathered here impact the rest of the work. We want to discover all required transformations early in the project so we don't end up with surprises and new transformation requirements all through the project. You can build the system HL7 specification in a few ways. But here, we're going to let Workgroup create it for us from a set of HL7 messages coming from the system to interface. With Workgroup, analysts work directly with the HL7 data to create a system specification, what we call a profile, directly from HL7 messages. We start by loading messages from a flat file, a database, or directly from your interface engine. Once the messages are loaded into the software, Workgroup reads the event types and segments and analyzes the fields. The software is actually going through messages and extracting information such as, is the field repeatable? How long is it? Is it required? Are there any custom fields and segments? Are there any custom data types? What codes are used for coded fields? Workgroup answers all the questions that an analyst has to ask and answer when they're building a spec. The result is a conformance profile, which some people call a system spec, specification, or schema. It represents the actual system HL7 specification, including any customization. The profile contains message types, segments, fields, data types, tables. Looks a lot easier than manually gathering your interface requirements, doesn't it? Once you've built a profile, you can do a lot with it. For starters, you can build documentation automatically. Export the profile directly to Word and share that Word document with your team members or clients. Now that we have the HL7 specification, let's move to the next step. Let's get a list of all the differences between both systems to integrate. This is called a gap analysis. Typically, without Workgroup, you're running manual queries, doing a spec crosswalk, checking out the content differences between the two systems. For example, you might be looking at patient identifier fields or at PID8 values to see if both systems handle the usual codes. If you were to do this manually, there's a good chance that the list of differences would not be exhaustive. The result would be new transformation requirements being discovered during interface development or later after the interface was in production. Workgroup replaces this manual process. Creating a gap analysis is quick and exhaustive with Workgroup's automated process. Just select the profiles to compare, and the application gives you a list of all differences, as you can see displayed in red. Now, it's up to the analyst to evaluate how each of those differences should be handled. In addition, this grid lists your transformation requirements. Export the list as an Excel document so interface developers can work with a complete requirement list. Now that developers have a complete requirements list, it's time to move to the next step and create the new interface. Using a Caristix connector, specifications can be exported in the format of your interface engine as message definition or message schema. This means that your team gets it right the first time. Developers can move on to the protocol and network settings and start mappings and transformation coding in the interface engine. Once the interface is ready for testing, leverage Workgroup's powerful interface testing features. Caristix Workgroup manages the entire interface testing process. Run tests as often as needed, get test results quickly, and increase test coverage with a minimum of effort. Let's open a test cases file and create a new very simple test. We'll test how to verify that the interface handles phone numbers correctly. This test will send a message to the interface engine and will validate the output message sent to a file. The input message could be a message I already have, or I could generate a new message compliant to the spec we created. Then, let's validate the output. Several validation types can be set. Validation rules can be set on specific fields. Output can be compared with expected results and be validated against a conformance profile. Run tests one by one or in a batch and get results in an Excel test report, documenting where all validation rules and statuses are listed. Tests can be automated, so unit, functional, and regression tests can be scheduled and run on demand. Production messages contain PHI that needs to be protected. Caristix Workgroup de-identifies messages. PHI is replaced with fake patient identifiers, so patient information that is contained in your messages is kept but completely protected. For instance, if we've got a series of messages about a patient, Workgroup replaces PHI with a new identity generated at runtime, say Jane Smith. All messages, from the admit message to lab orders and lab results, are now associated with Jane Smith. You keep the patient's story while removing the PHI. De-identification is a simple 3-step process. 1. Load your messages. 2. Customize de-identification rules. Make sure rules cover any customized fields and Z-segments, and it's in line with the organization business rules. 3. When it's set up correctly, hit de-identify. Choose how you'd like to save the new file, and you're set. Once you're done, a report of the work you've just done can be saved. The report lists all of the fields and data types that were de-identified. Keep it as a proof you took care of the PHI. That's the introduction to Workgroup and Caristix technology. We hope you found this video helpful. We've shown you some of the key features, but there's a lot more to Workgroup. Please feel free to share with your colleagues, and please get in touch with us with your questions.